catch a foot when I drive. Big pressure, I apply. In the ring, you won't survive. Yeah, I swerve when I drive. Yeah, I swerve when I drive.
Hassel, let's talk to me. Yeah. Welcome to another edition of Hassel's Reviews. And this week, we got a good old-fashioned movie review for you, as I am going to review the 2025 Wolfman movie. Now, this is the Blumhouse edition. It's still Universal Monsters, so to speak, but it is the Blumhouse 2025 Wolfman movie. So, I'm just going to go ahead and it's story time with Hassel, baby. So let me go ahead and just lay this out for you right here and now. I was hesitant to even watch this movie because I am a purist when it comes to my Universal Monsters. I have been a fan of the Universal Monsters since I was a wee little Hassel back in the day. And, you know, our local library at the time, you could rent, it would rent, but you would check out movies. They had old movies, and you could get the old Universal Monster movies. Plus, AMC would kick them on occasionally on cable and whatnot. So I grew up a fan of the Universal Monsters. I loved those movies. I love, especially the versus, Frankenstein versus the Wolfman, etc., etc. But out of all of them, I have always just gravitated towards a werewolf, Wolfman. He's always been the favorite of the bunch. So when this movie initially was announced, I was kind of excited. I was like, okay, cool. You know, Ryan Gosling was initially tied to it. So I was like, okay, I feel like it'll get a fair shake or at least a good budget. And it was like, it's going to be a modern adaptation. I was still fine with that. We're trying to reestablish the Universal Monsters in current times. I really liked Dracula Untold, surprisingly enough. So I'm like, okay, maybe we're still kind of getting into that shared universe. We're going to get that dark universe, as they put it. So I was optimistic. Then he falls off, and the cat that wrote the movie, his name would be Leigh Whannell. He's actually the cat that played Adam in the first Saw movie. Apparently he wrote Saw 2 and 3. He's been attached to some other Saw movies. He was in some of the Insidious movies. He wrote some of the Insidious movies. So, guys got his hands in horror, so to speak. So I felt a little okay about it with him taking back over as director at least. So I was like, okay, here we go. Christopher Abbott is actually who plays the Wolfman in this movie. He's playing Blake Lovell, modern adaptation. So I'm like, okay, still optimistic. And then at Universal Studios for Halloween Horror Nights last year, they dropped the teaser of what the Wolfman was going to look like because they had it at Halloween Horror Nights. And I'm just going to be honest, that ain't a Wolfman, people. That was the drizzling shits on what I saw. Right then and there, I said, I am not fucking watching this movie. I'm not going to the theater to watch this movie because I was excited. I went and watched the 2010 or 2011 remake with Benicio del Toro. Still one of my favorite Wolfman movies. So when I seen this of what it is, and I'll put a graphic up right here, and it shows Walmart Wolfman. He transforms into the best that he can afford, and that's damn sure what it looked like. This is not a Wolfman. This is a Wolfman. This is not a Wolfman. This is a werewolf. There is a difference. I need my Wolfman to look like a fucking Wolfman, or at least a fucking werewolf. Either or, I am fine. Not is. Thumbs down, thumbs up. You get it. You get where I'm going with this, people. So I was like hesitant to even watch this steaming pile. So I said, you know what? I had inventory for the last the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've been prepping for inventory work, so it has been stressful. Last Sunday, I just laid around because it was my one day off after getting through inventory. So I was like, you know what? I'm lazy. I don't feel like doing shit. Just want to cut something on, and if it's worth a damn, so be it. If it's not, nah. So me and my wife, we cut on the Wolfman 2025. Now, as I said, it's got Christopher Abbott. He plays Blake Lovell, the Wolfman. His wife, Charlotte, is played by Julia Garner. You will know her as the Silver Surfer in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie, as well as she was in Apartment 7A, which if you hadn't seen, I do recommend that. It was actually pretty damn good. It's on Paramount Plus or Peacock, one of the two. I think it maybe Peacock. But they have a little daughter named Ginger, and the movie starts out in Oregon in 1995. Apparently this hiker, he goes missing, is attacked by something, and is rumored to have just caught this deadly virus, right? And as a result, he's transformed. Okay. I'm still kind of optimistic at this point. Well, it starts out this young boy in 1995 and his father. His father's ex-military, Grady. They're off in the woods and they're hunting you, and you can tell the guy's very military because he's like banging on the roof to wake his ass up, things of this nature. And I'm sorry, people, we had technical difficulties, but we are back. So, like I said, it starts out the movie, military dad, young boy, they're out in the woods, and he's trying to teach him how to survive. And you can tell that something has happened. Now, I don't know if the man lost his wife and a friend or what, but there's an ominous figure in the woods. They're out there hunting, and initially they're hunting for deer. So he gets a deer in a sight, the deer gets away. So the young boy, he wants to go, he show dad he can do it, right? So he's like tracking off to get this deer or whatnot, and it scares the hell out of the dad. The dad chases him down, finds him, and he's chasing him. It's a little death's around every corner. You never know. You're always only a few moments away from death. He said, so you got to stay with me. I won't always be here to protect you, but I'm going to make damn sure you know how to protect yourself. It's pretty, I grew up in that kind of harsh family myself, so I get the tough love. But it was like, hey, dad loves you, kid. Today, by today's standards, that was child abuse. But 1995, it was love. So then they go to tracking the deer down. Well, the deer's been mauled to pieces by something. And something kind of gets after them. There's a deer blinder in the woods, so they haul ass this deer blinder, climb up the top of it. And about that time, the wolf man or creature, now this is during the daylight. This was what first throws me for a loop. The wolf creature gets after him, gets after the two of them, chases them up there, and it starts clawing at the blinder. It's done got up, starts clawing at the blinder, and then you hear this little yeah, whatever. It didn't sound like a fucking deer. It sounded like a goat to me. But hey, somebody grew up on a farm. I kind of in and out of farms, not on a farm per se, but in and out of farm with family members that owned animals and livestock. It sounded like a fucking goat, not a deer. So this creature makes a little sound off to the side there. The wolf person goes off and mauls it up. They feel safe. They get gone. They go back home. Later, a few minutes later, the dad's down in the basement, and he's ready. There's no cell service, well, it's 95. There was no cells then, but there was no phone service. So he's like on a hardline radio trying to get a signal out to someone, and he's trying to talk to somebody. So I'm assuming it's another military friend because he's got a tattoo right here, much like that. That's military and whatnot. So I guess he's trying to get a hold of other military personnel. So I don't know if it's their friend that is the hiker that was allegedly lost in the woods and contracted whatever this is, or if it's the wife. You'd never find out, people. Mystery. Well, next thing you know, you jump forward 30 years, and there's this grown-ass man and his daughter. They're walking down the road, and it's in the city, big city. I believe it was New York. But they're in a big city, and the daughter goes to kind of being a little shit, and she goes to doing some things, and then the dad's like trying to do that like comfort love or soft parenting, whatever the fuck you want to call it now. I call it soft assing, but hey, whatever. The kid's like he's like, hey, get down, and like she's ignoring the shit out of him. He's like, Ginger, come on now, and he's like, come on now, baby. Well, next thing you know, she nudges into this guy who like nuts the fuck up on her, and he has to get in there. He's like, ooh, something's gonna harm my baby. So, and then the guy hauls ass, and he tells her like basically that's when you realize he's the kid. So to overcompensate for where he was, you know, by what we would call, like I said, child abuse today, or mental abuse, or whatever you want to call it, tough loving. He's overcompensating with soft loving to his daughter. But they do have an amazing relationship. I will say that was probably one of the more touching things in this movie. They have a really great relationship between the two. As a girl dad, I get it, you know. I raised my daughter all through high school by myself. Got her off to college, etc., etc. So, hey, pat on my back. But I get it. But he's like, they got this thing where he's like, she's a mind reader. Or she plays to be a mind reader. And at first I didn't really get it either. But like further into the movie, it's like, oh man, it's kind of touching. But he'll put her hand on his head and be like, what am I thinking? And she'll be like, that my dad loves me very much. And that's kind of their thing. So they go home back to their apartment and whatnot. And he's, you know, he's been house husband, so to speak, is what I gather. He's preparing supper. He's watching the kid. He even puts lipstick on to, you know, play with the girl and whatnot. Well, Julia Garner, the wife, Charlotte, she comes home. Apparently she is a successful business lady of some sort. Real estate, I don't remember what it was, but she was on the phone with somebody, and like they're talking in the background while she's on the phone, and then he gets a letter in the fax or whatever, not a fax, I'm sorry, UPS, you know, get a sign for it and whatnot, and it is basically them letting him know that your father's been declared dead. You got to come to Oregon and get your shit. So he's in the middle of trying to process this, and he goes to say something to her, and she gets off the phone. She's a bitch to him. She's like, could you not do that? And he's like, well, I'm here with the kid. And you know, they have this little bicker or whatever. And then he finally tells her, hey, well, my dad's dead. We got to go sort through the stuff. And she's like, well, we was expecting this. So apparently he's been missing for some time. So they already presumed he's lost, dead in the woods, so to speak. It is what it is. Well, he goes the next day, and he's sitting on steps to her, waiting on her to come out of her little business or whatever. And she comes out, and she's with a group of people. You kind of get a weird vibe there. But he's like, I brought you lunch, and you know, he's a considerate son of a bitch. I'm giving him credit. And I will say that the guy that plays this part, he's actually an amazing actor. He makes you buy in. Even later in the movie, I'll get into some of that, but it makes you buy into him. I actually enjoyed him, and she played a good role as well. She kind of plays an old beady at the first of the movie, but you start building sympathy for her later. So, and then he's like, has this touchy moment with her. He's like, are we good? And she's like, no. And he's like, because I don't feel like we're good. And it's like, you go, oh man, that sucks. So they decide to go together, and they get a U-Haul, and they drive off to Oregon to go to his pappy's place. Well, he's got an old map. They get lost when they finally get there or whatever. And they got this good little banner between the three. Well, they pull up on like a deer blind off to the side there, and he pulls up the gates. He's thinking that's his property. Well, there's somebody in the deer blind, kind of like earlier in the movie when you seen somebody standing off in the distance, which ended up being the Wolfman. So you're like, oh shit, we're going to get the Wolfman again? Or the creature? Or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'm going to call it the creature. It's not a fucking Wolfman. The creature. We're going to get the creature again? No, it's actually some dude with a hunting rifle. So he walks out there and talks to him, and he's like, he said, he knowed him from when he was a child. And he tells him, no, this ain't your dad's property. He said, but I'll take you there. So he gets in the passenger seat, and they rock on. Well, along the way, the creature is standing on the road. They swear to miss him. They go off into some trees. The guy that's with them, he falls out of the truck, gets mauled up by the creature. And it's like, holy shit. So you got this really tense moment, and you don't realize it, but the dad, he's scratched on the arm. You know, he's wearing long sleeves, so you really don't get it at first. So you got all that going on. They get away, and they haul ass and run to the house because they're right there then finally, because they had cut through the woods. They get in there and they lock up, and then he cuts the generator on, and it's like you realize, oh man, he's got this bad sore. Yeah, and at first it's just like you think he's just been scratched. And I guess maybe that's what it was. Well, the creature keeps kind of doing the perimeter of the house, and you get this little psychological thing for some time, and then you get like, he starts having these heightened senses. like literally, like the lights are too bright. There's one point where it's like this, he keeps hearing this throbbing, and he's like going through the house looking, thinking something's banging around, and what it was is he peeled the wall back of, or the door back to a closet. There's a spider, and every time that spider's leg, which is kind of cool. I was like, oh man, you never think about that, but you know, the Wolfman has heightened senses, so you would think, okay, makes sense. Well, then later he get this like vision, and like he starts to have a, that was another thing. He had like, he's smelling something that smells horrible to him. He goes down in there and he finds his dad's smokehouse, and he's got a couple slabs of deer in there. It's probably been in there for a little while, so they didn't, you know, they're not as good as they should be. But he finds some jerky, which oddly enough he just starts eating. He's like, oh, my dad's jerky, and he starts eating like it's nothing. Like, how long's dad's jerky been laid out in the smokehouse? I know it's a smokehouse. I know it's jerky. Lasts for a while, but it'd be a little questionable. But as he's going to gnaw on it, his teeth start falling out. So what the fuck? Well, then like he's kind of doing this, hair's coming out, so he's starting to transition into the creature. So all the while he's transitioning into the creature, the other creature is outside circling the perimeter trying to get in, and it's this kind of back and forth deal or whatnot. Well, he starts getting to where he's nonverbal at a certain point, and he's starting to shift a little more, and a little more, but he's still coherently him, yeah, which was crazy because like there's one point where, you know, the wife's trying to talk to him because he's been apparently in and out for some time, and he's, you know, starting to act erratic, things of this nature. There is one really gross part because like she doctors his arm, you know, early when they realize it. Like later, it's like it's dripping blood, and when she goes to look at it, it is like massively gashed all of a sudden. It wasn't that way earlier. And next thing you know, he just runs off and starts gnawing on it like a dog would, that's just eating at this open wound. It's like, oh man, now I cringed on that right there. I was like, okay, I'll give you cool points for that. That was really grody. At one point they go to get out of the house. The Wolfman gets after them. They try to get into a truck. The truck that's out there to get it crunk up. That goes sideways for them. That doesn't work out. They get back into the house again, and then, you know, the creature pulls the dad's door, a foot out, leg out the door, through the dog hole. They just have this whole thing back and forth a few times. And at one point the wife's trying to talk to him, but like he can't understand her. And you start seeing how he sees kind of like an infrared almost predatorish. Yeah, to a degree. And he's like, in his mind, he's communicating, but he's kind of to her and vice versa. He can't really understand what she's saying, and she's like pouring her heart out, like, please, if you're still in there, X, Y, Z. Well, at one point, the other creature gets in the house, and you have this pretty neat little battle between the two creatures or whatnot, and that's when the dad starts making a little more shift into creature mode himself, and looking a little more creature-ish. But it is kind of cool because like he snaps at the wife one time, then he stops himself because he realizes who she is. Then he realizes he's got to protect his daughter. Because like at one point, like after him and the other creature battle some, where, you know, she puts her hand on his head, and he's like, because he was like almost feral for a minute there, and she puts her hand on his head, and he's like, he gets docile again. And that's when you realize, like, it's this really sad moment where you realize, man, he's not gonna come back to being dad anymore. And that was kind of heartbreaking. It really was. They done a great job of that right there, and the actors that was involved, kudos for that. Before it's all said and done, they go back out through the woods trying to get away. The two wolf creatures, they do have a nice little chase at one point, and dad creature is trying to help mom and the kid out. They get on this greenhouse, and the other creature, you know, they just have this whole thing. Well, she hauls tail through the wood. They find the hunter that's tore all the pieces that helped them out earlier in the movie. They get his gun, and the two creatures are battling, and they shoot the original creature, killing it. Oh no, I'm sorry. They shoot at him. They go off. They get back into the house. They got a gun at this point. The other creature gets back into the house and he almost kills the mom, is what it is. When he's about to get her, dad creature lunges, throws him down, and bites his throat out, killing him. Which is a pretty cool kill scene, honestly. But that's when he starts getting a little more feral, so to speak. And, I mean, he kind of backs away because of the little girl, and he hauls tail out through the woods. Well, they at this point, they realize they got to get out of Dodge. But when they look back at the original creature, they look right there, and guess what? Granddaddy. Yeah, that's right. When he disappeared out into the woods some time ago, apparently the creature attacked him. I don't know if he killed the original creature, or what, but he became the creature at that point, and that was who infected it. It's a vicious cycle. Father, infected the son now. So, to round out the movie, they try to escape, and they're hauling out through the woods, and they get back to the same deer blind, where they, because at this point, dad creature is pretty much no longer in there to a degree. So they haul tail up there, and he's coming up, and you can tell he's coming up. And he gets to the top there, and he kind of looks over, and he's looking at him like he's fixing to get him. And then it's like it registers to him that that's his family still. So you have this, I guess, nudge, nod, or whatever to like, hey, take me out, sis. So she shoots old dad creature. Done. Not with silver bullets, mind you. But I mean, I get it. In Wolfman folklore, it can only be killed by a silver bullet or by the hand of someone who loves you. So maybe that was their out on that. I don't know. Then they leave out, and the daughter's like just pretty chill about it. She's like, it's what Dad wanted. He didn't want to be like that. He wanted it to end. And it's like, which is really sad. So they strike out, and then they come to this really beautiful spot in this mountainous area in Oregon where you see the mountains and the stream. And it's one of the places you see early in the movie when the dad had told the boy, it never gets old, does it, son? Seeing that view. And I'm like, if she fucking says that this is a beautiful view after you just killed your husband, he's been put through hell for a night and witnessed all manner of terrible things, I'm going to lose my shit. But she didn't. It just kind of ends there. So, okay. Here's where I'm at with this movie. As a creature feature, as just a movie, if they had named it The Fucking Creature, The Creature from Oregon even, I would say solid-ass movie. It was a good movie. It had some good scares here and there. Great emotional attachment to the characters. And it's not that the creature looks bad as a creature. It gets to kind of looking at the transformation over the period of time, the things it goes through. It's kind of neat. Other than the fact that he's not the fucking Wolfman. So, as a creature feature, I would give this movie a solid 4.25 stars out of 5 Hassels. But when you go to calling it the Wolfman, this is where I have a problem, because it is not a Wolfman, a traditional Wolfman transformed when the wolf is full, or the wolf fangs blooms, or even in the Howling movies, they can transform at will at night. But they do transform and turn back into a fucking person afterwards. Even the Kessler wolf in American Werewolf in London turned back to David Kessler at various points. He don't just stay the creature. So, solid movie, not a solid Wolfman. So that's where we're at with this, people. If you enjoy like horror movies, and if you can get past this, you will enjoy the movie. If you can set it aside and say it just isn't a werewolf, it isn't a Wolfman, it's a creature. It's kind of like watching Venom, knowing that he was not attached to Peter Parker first. He was not rejected by Spider-Man, setting up the symbiote's hate, so forth. So kind of like having Venom with no Spider-Man. It's along those same lines. Enjoyable, but not who the fuck it is. So there you go. Matter of fact, those movies should have probably just been called The Symbiote. But there we go. That's my review for the 2025 Wolfman movie. Thank you guys. Don't forget to show our sponsor, the Zones Collectibles, some love. Don't forget to check out our new shows, Cards Subject to Change, right here on the Nerdy Man Room Show channel. It's no longer on the Stay Weird Network. So we're moving. We are still part of the Stay Weird Network. Thank all of you guys that are part. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. We're almost at that 1,000 mark when we do a major giveaway. So thank you guys. Have a good week.
Blind me, top rope, catch a vibe, catch a foot when I drive. Big pressure, I apply in the ring, you